Okay, today I want to share with you how I am financing or funding my year-long sabbatical, which is what I'm currently on. Today I'm coming to you from Australia, the country, continent, island of Australia. This is my 5th continent on this sabbatical, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about the numbers, or basically how I'm funding this. This is gonna help you, I hope, with everything I'm gonna share, it's gonna help you think about funding a sabbatical if you're interested in that. But if you're not, you wanna just save for a trip, save for a house, a car, I don't know, your life. At the very least, there's gonna be some nuggets and some things that you can hopefully get, even if it's just one thing about how I saved and how I thought this through, that I want to share with you, and hopefully you gain something from this. Now, I am very, very risk averse. That's just who I am. I don't like risks, and so for me to have been able to quit a job, well-paying job, to be able to do this, I had to have some level of confidence that I could afford to do this. I just said I'm not a risk taker. I also do not like debt or credit, and I'm very, very averse to those things. I remember, well, it might be my Nigerian upbringing that I'm pretty sure that's a lot to do with it. I was gonna say I remember coming to this part of the world, well, not this part of the world, definitely not Australia, but like moving from Nigeria to the Western world is what I meant, so to Canada, and being offered a credit card. And for me, that was just a no. That was no, you don't take credit. Like, spending money that I don't have or didn't have or don't have felt like a taboo, felt like, why would you do that? And still does till today, to be honest. I just have that mindset that if I don't have the money, I can't afford something. Like, and I've always been that way. And thank goodness that has actually helped me in my financial life and in my life period, because there is this saying, Nigerians say a lot, I don't know why I'm talking so much about being Nigerian today. They say cut your coat according to your size. Basically, like, cut your coat according to your size. Like, you live your life in a way that you can afford, or do things according to your appetite, or like, not your appetites, because that's dangerous, but like your size. And so basically, not just taking out loans or spending money I don't have, things like that. I'm just saying how, yes, risk averse, but also debt and credit averse. That's the kind of person that I am. And so what I'm saying is, I really had to make sure I had the money to afford this year off before I made any huge decisions. And I would advise anyone quitting your job for any reason. My reason was a sabbatical. My reason was a sabbatical for many reasons. To rest, to learn a bunch of things, to just be, to just cultivate other areas of my life apart from work. But all that to say, how on earth am I funding my sabbatical? How did I afford to do this? Let's get into it. So I want to say the very first thing is, okay, there's 4 different buckets of accounts or funding that I want to talk about that are funding my sabbatical in some ways. Let me get into it. It'll hopefully make sense as I talk about it. So the very first is my actual sabbatical fund, like the fund for this year off. How on earth, or how did I think through that? What I did was I know how much it costs for me to live my life for a month in my normal life, in my city, in my normal day-to-day. If you want to know how to do that, look at your last 2 credit card statements or whatever your spend, that's better, your spend for the last 2 months. See how much you're spending on your major fixed costs, how much you're spending on your life. What does it cost to be you? I think I'm gonna make another video actually going deeper into like how to frame your finances, because I really want to help the version of me from many years ago who just didn't have structure. I am a CPA, I am an accountant, this is what I studied, this is what I know, but honestly, personal finances, I needed to like learn that separately from what I learned in school. It's a little bit different, but it's not too difficult. I can talk this through with you. Either way, when I knew the amount that I spend for a month, how much it takes to sustain my life for a month, I'm talking accommodation, food, of course, transport, accommodation, food, transport, what else are the big, personal care, they just like maintaining myself, activities, if there's some activities, some entertainments that I like to do, yeah, I think those are the big buckets. Once you're housed, you're fed, you transport yourself around wherever you're going, activities, a little bit of giving, definitely a fund for giving as well. Just what base amount do I spend in a month? Once I knew that amount, I basically just multiplied it by 12, and my first thing was, do I have that amount multiplied by 12 to be able to sustain me for a year? My thought process behind this sabbatical is whatever money I spend for, I'll finish that statement. Whatever money I spend in a year in Canada, in my life starting point, should be able to sustain me in different parts of the world. That was my thought process. I'm just taking myself on the road. Like I being me, taking myself on the road. So that was my logic behind my free. Remember, we're talking about 4 buckets of funding. That is the first bucket was, okay, how much do I have to fund my life this sabbatical? Monthly costs multiplied by 12. Do I have that? If the answer is no, keep saving, or keep like I don't have the money, so I can't afford it. The second bucket was I'm gonna call it my flight fund. How much, because in my normal life I'm not flying around the world, of course, so how much would it cost rather for me to fly myself around the world, one-way tickets, of course, to different places to see as much of the world as I can in a year while slow traveling. And this is all of this is a guess. I've never done this before. This is my first sabbatical, and so for this one I'm gonna actually share the number because it's embarrassingly, I don't know if it's big or small, but I just had to make a guess. And so the number I came up with, to be honest, for my flights was $4,000. I was like, you know what, $4,000 should be able to get me where I need to be. I'll do another video to see how I did with all this, like my budget, and so far I'll do another video to see. I'm still on the sabbatical anyway. So I'm about 9.5 months into my sabbatical, so coming up to the end here. But so I came up with $4,000 for flights. Let's just say that was a lowish, well, it was working. Well, you know what, let me talk about the next bucket. So $4,000 for flights. Do I have that fully funded? That should be able to take me from place to place. Remember, in my part of my life, I had transport costs. So within a city, within a country, if it was like cheaper, transport costs were included in my monthly costs, or the first bucket, but this was just for flights from one country to another country, or one continent to the next continent. And so that's just the number I pulled out of, I don't know. So that was that. Do I have that money? Do I not? You know, So there's two different buckets. I'm gonna pause here and say, if you're saving for anything, I highly recommend you label that account the name of the thing you're saving for. If you're saving for a trip to Bali, label it trip to Bali, or Bali December 2026. Like, label it the vision, the goal. If you're saving for a house, dream house. If you're saving for flights or travel, like, it helps. I've been doing this since at least 2020, maybe 2019. All my savings accounts have a name. It really helps your psyche to see that this thing you're planning for, the money towards that thing is actually growing, rather than just having a savings account. In the past, I'm speaking about me of the past, I would have a savings account, but I didn't even have any goal or vision for that. I didn't even know what I was saving for, but I had a savings account, just vague and non-directional, no vision. So if you take nothing from this video, if you're already doing it, bravo. If not, if you have a savings goal, name the account by that goal. It really helps you when you can see, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where I need to be. I'll talk a little more about this and how I do it, and how, like, savings really works for me because of the methods that I've put into place. Yeah, okay, so I just wanted to pause to say that after my second bucket. So we've talked about two buckets: the sabbatical life budget, and then the travel fund. No, flights fund. That's a little different. Now the third bucket of, this is not money, but I'll keep speaking, it'll make sense to you. The third thing that I had to fund this trip is I had some points. My credit card program came with travel points that I could use to book flights. I had some points in it, and I loved that I had that when I was leaving. That was one of my fail-safes, that hey, if I ever find myself in a corner of the world where I need to go from place A to place B, and my actual dollars is stretching me in some way, that the $4,000 I will definitely use my flight points. And I have to say that account, that those points have come in clutch for me on this sabbatical 2 times already. My points are very low now, so I guess it could only really buy 2 really good flights. But the first time was when I was leaving Barcelona. From Barcelona, I had to fly, well, I didn't have to do anything, but from Barcelona, I was planning to fly to Vietnam, or from Europe. I needed to leave. I was really based in France, but very close to, I was in south of France, very close to Barcelona, like 2 hours drive, if even. Maybe, no, it doesn't matter. I was right at the border. I think it was maybe an hour's drive. Yeah, about an hour's drive. Anyway, so I had to fly from Europe to Vietnam, or I planned. When I looked at the flight amount, I think it was gonna cost me $1,000, maybe $1,600 or $1,800, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And so I log into my my points account, and I was able to buy a flight from Barcelona to Vietnam, like I just said, for about maybe $80. They always make you pay a portion for taxes or fees or something. It was like $80. So from something that would have cost me about $1,800 to $80, I mean. Second time is actually right here, a few days ago, trying to decide where in the world I want to go next. And when I kind of picked a place, still not sure, that's to come. When I picked a place from here, from Sydney to the place, was gonna cost me about $2,000. Actually, after booking, I looked at the exact flight I booked. It was $2,600 something dollars. I was like, this is funny, that's funny, haha. I log in, and I was able to buy my tickets for this one was higher because I didn't have as much points, so I kind of had to buy a little bit of points, so I had to pay about $400. But that, as compared to $2,600, I think $600, I mean, so the points have come in clutch. So that was a backup to my flight fund. They've come in clutch the 2 times I needed them to come in clutch for me, and I'm so thankful. And if you notice, oh well, I haven't said where I'm going, but both of the times when I used it were across continents and were like longer haul flights, and definitely the most expensive I would have had to do out of pocket, and I'm happy that I had points to cover for that. So that's another thing that I had as a feel-safe, as a backup, that I knew could help me. It's a form of currency for sure, having travel points. So that is 3 accounts. Now the 4th account is not related to my sabbatical in any way. It is my emergency fund. Just knowing that I have an emergency fund outside of all of this definitely gives me peace of mind that, hey, if something goes down, I still have an emergency fund that I can draw from. I can feel like, okay, things are bad, but there's still this bucket. So these are things, these are the ways, or these are the actual, like, taking it one level down to say, how on earth was I able to, or am I, I'm still on the freaking sabbatical, am I able to like do this? It's because I've done all this rough numbers, rough math, and so far so good. I'm happy to say that it's working. Like, it's working. Again, this is my first sabbatical. I didn't know what to expect. But so far I'm looking at the numbers and I'm where I need to be, and yeah, so these are the ways, or these are the things I had to think about, and a little bit of how it's turning out. At the end of this, I'll probably do something looking back, and yeah, to actually see how did I do versus my plan. Yeah, so that's the finances, that's the funding of this. That's how you can think about, okay, how much do I need to plan for? The reason I was able to do my lifestyle multiplied by 12 for the sabbatical fund is because I figured I'm living in a place with, like, I figured if I'm able to live at a certain dollar amount in my current life, I should be able to, like, in different places, and places balance each other out. There's places that are lower cost of living, there's places that are higher cost of living for sure. I lived in France for 2 months. That was definitely a higher cost of living. When I was in Southeast Asia for 3.5 months, that's lower. And so I knew they were gonna balance themselves out. I knew Australia is definitely high cost of living. So I had those things at the back of my mind, depending on where you're going, depending on your lifestyle, depending on a whole lot of things. You might want to do different math, but I'm just letting you in on how I thought through it. And I know myself. I guess that's the starting point. You have to know yourself, and you have to, yeah, you don't really have to do anything, but I just advise come from a place of, hey, you know yourself, you will know your finances best. But this is one way to think about it, and this is how I'm thinking about it, and I'm sharing that it's working. And so yeah, this is how to fund a sabbatical, this is how to save, this is how to think about this kind of things. I don't think I introduced myself, I just came at you. So I want to say, if this is your first time seeing my face, welcome. If you've been here before and you've seen my face before, welcome back. I hope my video helps you in any way. I hope you picked up, even if it was just one thing, about how you can structure like savings or your money or your mindset regarding it. I want to talk more about finances because I feel called to do it. I feel very, well, not very, but I feel, yeah, very, I feel quite clear on finances from my background as an accountant, working in finance, from reading dozens of personal finance books, from listening to probably thousands and thousands of hours of finance podcasts, from personally, now we've talked a whole lot about savings today, but investing is really where it's at. And so from learning about savings and investing and the best structures to like take out the thinking out of the equation and actually make sure that you're doing it. So yeah, managing finances. And so I want to help if you want to be clear on your finances, be able to be more like forward looking, do something like a sabbatical. I love to talk about like retirement type stuff, financial independence. This, like I've mentioned in another video, this is kind of a mini retirement for me, just trying out what retirement could be like. So anyway, more videos like this to come is what I'm trying to say. If you liked any part of this video, give it a thumbs up. Follow along if you're interested in this kind of thing. I also make videos on natural hair, videos on skincare, videos on my sabbatical, which is what I'm currently doing, videos on travel and travel organization and packing. Lots of them. I try to organize them in playlists for you, so I will link one in this video. Not sure which one I'll link, but yeah, I will see you on my next video. Thank you so much for being here again, and leave a comment for me. Let me know your biggest savings tip. Share a savings tip in the comments. I have a whole lot more about to like talk about, like funding something, but yeah, let me know in the comments what is your biggest saving tip. Okay, I will talk to you in my next video. See you soon.